Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our math education chat, where we talk about things math education, in particular Harkness Learning, which is where I'm going to continue our conversation today. What topic of today's video is going to be the start. How do we begin? How does one transform their practice that it does look like Harkness Learning? How do we implement that in our classrooms? I get that question asked a lot at various conferences and talks I go to when I present on Harkness, and when I work with teachers as a coach as well. And they always ask me, okay, so where do we begin? How do I make my classroom look like this? Or what are the essential elements? And it's not a super easy question to answer right away. Because people tend to get carried away with such things as furniture layout or classroom layout or type of homework that gets assigned or lesson plans, which not to take away from those aspects. They're important. They're important things. They're part of how classrooms are conducted and most important elements in the learning. But that's not where the starting point is located. In my opinion, the starting point is located at identifying some of the more important overarching aspects of Harkness Learning. In other words, it's a philosophy of Harkness, rather than just what's called a method, which is what I mentioned earlier, with all those things that I named. So what we need to focus on first is philosophical questions. Questions that teachers need to ask themselves first and establish certain environment in their classroom if it's not already there. But the fundamental elements of participation and respecting one another and trusting one another. If those elements are not there, it is very hard to move on to try to do Harkness in the classroom. And just to reiterate that idea, I'm just going to share this screen, this little diagram here. So the way I see it is that the method is contained underneath, whereas the philosophy is above. And the first question that people need to ask themselves is that overarching question: is there trust in the classroom, and is there respect in the classroom? And if there is, then we can move on to the method. We could start implementing and think about such things as furniture and such things as lesson plans and such things as types of homework or seating plans or whatever else comes to mind when we talk about those pedagogical moves. That's later. First of all, it's the philosophy. Do we have what it takes to get going? And to have what it takes is simple. There's two things. There's respect and there's trust. And that means not just the students, the student to student kind of thing. It's a student teacher as well. In fact, some would argue the most important is the student teacher relationship. And if there's trust and respect, genuine ones that are there, then we'll have no problems at transitioning into Harkness Learning and actually playing with the attributes versus playing with the attributes first and then figuring out, okay, so what's missing? Because things will be missing if the trust and respect are not in place. To illustrate the trust and respect a little bit further, this next diagram kind of shows that a little bit. To get students going and to get learning happening, we need to establish these learning blocks. But these learning blocks have to come from the participants. They're not to be brought in by the teacher. Sometimes they could be, but the whole idea of it is that we have to build using these blocks to the goal that we have established, or a teacher could potentially establish when they're preparing and when they have the big idea behind the course they're teaching. There should be some kind of a goal that we're starting to build towards, and these building blocks have to come from the participants, from the students. But again, until respect and trust are not in place, we won't be able to stack these together. In fact, we won't have been able to bring them in. Stacking is a whole different other issue of how to put them together. And we'll talk about that in future videos. But these blocks have to come in. They have to come in, and if they don't, we can't really go further. And the two things that are required is trust and respect. If those two things are not there, we can't produce blocks. We can't build. And if we can't build, nothing will work. It will look like it's working, but it won't be true. And I've seen examples of that, unfortunately, where the philosophical aspects were not addressed first, and then it all kind of looked very artificial. It didn't look right. So if there's further questions, feel free to reach out. I hope this was useful to start thinking about what Harkness Learning is. We will continue talking about it, moving into a little bit of this building of blocks in our later videos. So take care till then.